quarterbacks come back. So just take us through that decision, what that means to you.
Well, I think, number one, last time I stood up here, I really did mean what I said is, and I told him all along, whatever he decided to do, I supported that because, it's his life. And we talked about a lot of the pros and the cons and stuff like that. And I know he talked to a lot of people. But, I understand what his goals are, not only for here, but for his life. And, I'm going to do everything I can to support him and help him achieve that. And, and like we were talking about earlier before everybody came in here, just, the whole world of college football right now. I mean, yeah, we could go out and get a transfer quarterback or something like that. But, the quarterbacks that we have here, we recruited here. And we've invested in those guys. We believe in those guys. And, I would prefer those are the guys that we run this program with. And so whether it's Holton or Mason or Ryan or Walt or Alex, I mean, those kids, we care about them, and they're an important part of our program. And so, it certainly means a lot to have him back for another year. It would mean a lot to have the entire room back.
When you look at just the experience of having basically, you started for 3.5 years,
yeah,
you're a fourth-year guy. Just how much does that change the offseason in terms of you kind of know what you have there,
right?
And can focus on the rest of the team,
right? I mean, I think we can, the big focus for Holton is going to be helping him improve personally as much as he can, so that he has a great senior year, and then he'll find out. Do I get an opportunity to play in the NFL or not? I mean, that's the goal for him. I think that it's not like he needs 1 million reps, in spring practice and stuff like that. He'll need reps to stay sharp, but you can really work on developing the next several guys and spend a lot of time with them, focusing on them. Working in a team aspect, working in a scrimmage aspect, working in a game aspect. So, I think it's not only going to help him returning for another year, it's going to help the entire room.
Just having the offensive players that are coming back, they
yeah,
just know that this is what we've had for a while. I mean, you
right,
can kind of hit the ground running it in so many words.
Well, you don't have to figure out who's who, and you don't have to figure out they have experience in our offense, they have experience with the scheme. We played really, really well offensively at times this year, but I don't think we've reached our potential yet, and so I think we can continue to develop the offense and play at a much higher level.
You worry about his health a little bit too, because part of the equation in talking to him that his back was kind of messed up some, and he was worried a little bit about that. But as you progress, maybe giving him lots of rest, like you said in the spring, yeah, and stuff like that, that comes in. That's part of the equation too.
Well, playing that position, it's not an easy position to play physically. You're going to take a lot of hits, and certainly that's been a big focus this week, is getting him healed up. And so it's something that you in the off season, there's no sense in him taking a hit between the bowl game and the opener next year. So we'll be able to keep him healthy and have him full speed for the fall.
Following up on that, do you think that was part of, sometimes we look at the season that he could have ran here, but he didn't. Was part of that, you think, that he was kind of squeamish a little bit with some of the pain he was going through?
Nah, I don't think so. I mean, there's only a couple of times all year, where I questioned, hey, why didn't you do this right here? Right. And it never was, the physical piece. It was always, something else, trying to make a play with this or that or the other.
Unfinished business kind of seems to be the theme, both with him and with you. And obviously, this was a great year. You guys still have a bowl game
right
to play for, but you feel like that will be kind of the theme in the offseason and really something to work for. He mentioned the conference championship as a potential goal.
Well, I think, first you got to finish this year. And so the bowl game is the big focus. And once we get beyond the bowl game, we'll sit down with the team just like we did last year. This time last year, we come off the SMU win. And, we talked about the momentum the program had in the off season. And we sat down as a team and hey, this is the year. This is our goal this year. And I think we've got to approach it the same way in the off season. It's, like I said before, we've achieved some great things this year with the program, but we're nowhere near the ceiling of the program, and we're nowhere near what my goals were when I took the job 3 years ago.
So you have 4 weeks, excuse me, between games. When
Yeah.
you're going through practice, obviously next week you'll start your install
Yeah.
stuff when you find out a team, but do you do some of the stuff that you did maybe back in camp and kind of reunite that, or is it true mid-season?
Well, it's a mixture. The last 3 days for the guys like, Holton and Rajay and Keaton on offense, a couple of the other guys that played high volume snaps, their reps have been, dialed back. Like the starting offensive line, they may have had 12 live, thud reps today. So the young guys, now they've been more like preseason camp the last 3 days, and it's been great. I mean, it's been great to, some young players that I think will be really good players that you may not even know their name right now. We've been able to really spend a lot of time with them the last 3 days because you have an opponent to focus on, and we do plan a little bit. Even next week when we start focusing on whoever we're going to play, we still want to take portions of practice for those guys, and that's where you get that extra time. And that's a great bonus for the bowl game because we do have a lot of time between now and the bowl game. So you got to balance between, we got to try to keep our guys that are going to be on the field playing significant snaps, keep them sharp as we go through this bowl prep, and at the same time we want to be very fresh and ready to go.
The way postseason works at the lower levels, this is your first time having to go through that. Did you kind of talk to some of maybe the other coaches at the FBS level longer about what to do at practice?
I mean, so I've got some bowl practice schedules and practice schedules from several of the Power 5 schools that have done it successfully, and consulted with them. And then it is not dissimilar from the national championship, at the FCS level, because there's about a month between the semifinal game and the national championship game, which is played in early January. So just kind of took some things that we kind of learned from those runs that we had there, and what some other schools have done. And of course, we have a lot of guys on our staff that have played in a lot of bowl games over the years.
Coach, you talked about the rest of the quarterback room with Mason in particular. Kind of what was that conversation like? Because I know when he committed, he probably thought Holton would only have 2 years, and now he is, with the COVID deal, come back for a third year.
Yeah, and Mason's got an extra year. That's what he and I really focused on. Is when he signed here, he knew that Holton had was 2 years ahead of him, and so that hadn't changed because they both got the extra year. And Mason and I have had really good talks. I told him that nothing has changed since the day I started recruiting him, and I told him, I'm recruiting you to be our starting quarterback at East Carolina one day, and I believe in him, and I'm heavily invested in him as a person. We've been through kind of what he wants to do with his life, and what his passions are and what his goals are, and he knows we care about him, and so we're going to continue to invest in him the same way we do all the rest of them. But I feel good about him. Today's his birthday, so he's going to celebrate his birthday today, and then my oldest turned 13 this past week, so we're celebrating that birthday today too. So I feel good with Mason.
Coach, as for the bowl game, we're looking at middle of the pack ACC, Virginia Tech, for some of the schools that were talked about. What do you go into like all the teams that it could be, or are you solely focused on you guys right now?
No, we just, I think I know who it's going to be, but until it's announced, we're not going to start anything. We've already got the film from everybody we think is in the mix. So it'll be as soon as we find out for sure, we'll start, looking at everything from this year and scanning through everything from last year if the coordinators are still the same.
Can you tell there's a difference? Maybe I know it hasn't happened yet, but when you come into next season, can you tell there's a difference from taking advantage of these extra practices for some of these younger guys? Because the past few years, you're not practicing.
Right. Well, I mean, you just take a look at some of the young skill kids the last 3 days. Just I saw improvement in them in just the last 3 days from them getting coached and them getting a chance to get out there and get real live reps. And you see more urgency in them too. It's hard being a guy that's a scout team guy. I have a lot of respect for that. And I tell them that those guys throughout a season are so valuable because you're you're the Cincinnati, or you're the South Florida, or you're the Tulane during the week preparing the guys that are playing on game day. And so now all of a sudden they went from that role to now they're getting, real live reps running our stuff. And so you just seen a lot of excitement in them, maybe a little more pep in their step, and seeing them improve the last several days. So, there's no doubt that I think when we get through this thing and get through the spring, you're going to see guys that, are able to take a little bit more of a step forward than they would have without this bowl prep.
And I heard an interview earlier this week with the Military Bowl president, and he talked very highly of you and mentioned that they named you Coach of the Year in 2017 from the Military Bowl. Is that correct?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Or you said you got honored for something in 2017.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The DC touchdown.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. How excited are you going back up to the Military Bowl?
Well, I just think that area. When I was at James Madison, we recruited that area, heavily. You got a chance to go to the DC Touchdown Club for a couple of years for those banquets, and was recognized one year as the Coach of the Year. So, a lot of familiarity. And I think that I think more so from maybe my time at the Citadel, and having a strong connection, obviously, with the military there, and relationships with a lot of guys that had served or are serving now. I've got players that played for me that are serving now. I just have a lot of respect for everything that surrounds this bowl. It's some of the benefits and the causes, whether it's the wounded warriors or the military vets or whatever. I think that it's something that I'm glad we're associated with. Anything else? All right.